Hi, parents. We made it to the end of another week at CCK. Every week's a week to be celebrated. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the reading process. I've had a chance to read with a couple of friends, and I know it can be daunting if you're teaching a child to read, especially if you don't have an older child and you haven't been through the process. So I just wanted to walk you through a little bit. First, the logistics of what you're getting at home as far as materials and how they're to be used. And then I'll kind of walk you through a bit and show you how I would work with a beginning reader. First of all, you know they have their reading bag. So initially in the reading bag, we had these sheets, white sheets, that you were to record what you're reading to your child. You can toss those. We don't need to see these anymore. This was just to make sure everybody was in the habit of reading every night to their child, but also to see what literature they were being exposed to on a daily basis. So we don't need to see that anymore. So now you'll have their little reading record. I think they're all green this year. And on there is a spot to record a book, and it says parent-child. What I want in that parent-child section is the percentage of the book that you read and the percentage that your child read. So if it's unfamiliar or they are just entering the reading process, you might read 80% and they might read 20%. That percentage gives us a guide to know whether we have your child on the right reading level and in the right series as far as what they're working on. We really want them to be about at 85%. That tells us that the book is still challenging. They still have something to learn, but that they're getting enough of it that they feel confident. When we initially start, it's okay if they have some books they're at 100% right away because they're like, oh my goodness, I can read, and we want to build that confidence. But if they're 100% at every book we're sending, we need to bump them up a little bit because we do want them to be working on a few words as they read. So on that reading record, write the title of the book they read or the title of the passage that they read, what percent they were able to read independently, and what percent you helped them with. That'll give us a good gauge. In that reading bag, you also had a sheet that looked like these. This is sight words. It says popcorn words. The way you work with these flashcards, total memory recall. Even though some of them are decodable, we really want to see if they can just recall them fast. That way we save that energy for the words that we actually need to tap and blend and sound out. So the popcorn words go on an index card. They're flashcards. Once you master a list, don't put those cards away. Keep working with them as you add the next group of 5 or 6 words. Because if you just keep moving on without reviewing, they'll lose that first group of sight words they have. We want them to have a good bank of sight words so when they start reading, they feel like they can already read a little bit, which they can. Then you will probably see either this is just a Bob book. I have primary phonics books. We can move them into more phonics series as they start to read. And so I just want to show you how I worked with a child reading this book. So the first thing I had them do is sound out the titles. So we said dot. Sight word and. If a child did not know that word, give it to them immediately. Don't let them struggle with sight words. Dot and it, mit. Dot and mit. You read it. And so I'll read it for them with fluency and speed and have them go back and say dot and mit. Then we look at the illustration on the front cover. I'll say, which one do you think is dot and which one do you think is mit? So one of these must be dot and one must be mit. And let them try to see if they can make any association. And they'll guess, and that's great. And then say, okay, well, let's open it and start reading and see if we can figure out which one's dot or mit. So we'll start right here. My finger is always under here tapping under the words as they read. So I'll say, let's sound out this first word. Dot. I'll see if they can first give me these sounds for these letters. If they can't, I'll give them a hand signal. Try to pull that sound out. Once we have identified all the sounds, we'll go back and try to blend it quickly. So I'll tap it and say, dot, 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 dot. And then we'll read it 3 times. Dot, dot, dot. They don't know that sight word. I give it to them immediately. Dot has, most of them know this one, a, all right, let's sound this word out. K-at, k-at, cat, cat, cat. I'll say, okay, let me read that sentence to you. Dot has a cat. Now you read it. And then they can say, Dot has a cat. You want to model that fluency and speed for them, or they'll just be struggling the whole time. So once you've worked through a sentence that way, tapping and sounding out, go back and model it for them using speed and fluency so they can hear how it should sound. And then say, oh, wow, which one's Dot? And they'll say, oh, and I'll say, okay, every time we see this word, look and see if you see that picture. We know her name's Dot, so we might not have to sound it out every time. So Dot, oh, I remember the title of our story was Dot and Mitt. Which one do you think's Mitt now? And they might identify that the cat is named Mitt. So then we'll flip the page and it says, sight word. They should probably know this one. Most of them do. Like I said, if they don't, give it to them immediately. The cat. The cat is it. Mitt. The cat is Mitt. You read it and let them do it with fluency. Then say, okay, you were right. The cat's name is Mitt. So we know the girl's name is Dot and the cat is Mitt. Then flip over and we'll say, oh, there's the girl. There's her name. What was her name? If you start this association, it will prevent them from sounding out that name 10 times as they read through this book. And we want to get them to start to associate that, oh, okay, that is her name. It's related to her. So I see her. There's her name. Oh, yeah, her name's Dot. Dot and Mitt. It. Sit on a mat. All right, I'm going to read it for you. Dot and Mitt sit on a mat. Your turn. You read it and see if they can do it with speed and fluency. It's real hard for a child to gain the speed and fluency if you don't model that for them. And they don't want to feel like they're struggling constantly. So once you've decoded all the words, sounded them out, and blended them back to read them, go back and read the complete sentence. You might point out to them, uppercase letter. Oh, when we get to the period, we know we need to stop. And as they're reading, always run your finger under the words as they're on each word. And just work through the book that way. But help model speed and fluency for them. So in addition to these sight words, after we finish the current letter book we're on, which is letter book L, we will send you a word list home. It is different from a sight word list. This is the sight word list. The word list are actual words that your child should be able to sound out and blend and read now that we have finished that letter book. It's only got sounds that we've covered in class. And what you'll do with those, you'll put those words on cards and your child will tap and blend them. So one of them would be dad. Dad, dad. And you want to try to have them sound out and blend all those. That is not memory work. We do not want them just memorizing them. They will get fast enough that it'll sound like they're memorizing them, but you make sure that they start by sounding them out and blending them. Don't let them guess. A lot of times a child will start guessing at words, and that's not part of the reading process. We want them to actually sound out the letter sound when they see the letter, and then blend the word several times. And so you'll work on those a little bit differently. So these are memory work. The word lists that will come home with the letter book L are not memory work. They will be words that need to be sounded out and read. So I hope that helps you a little bit. If you have any questions, let me know. Do not need to send this back. This can be thrown out. Record on the little reading record and put the percentage you read and the percent the child read. And that way it'll tell me if we have them on a good reading level. So I hope that helps you with reading. We'll continue to guide you as we work our way through the reading process. But I have several friends that are jumping right in it. And every child works at their own pace. Some enter it a little faster than others. But I find that we all sort of plateau at the same place. And by the end of the year, most of the kids are actually on the same reading level. But just enjoy the reading time with your child and make it enjoyable and exciting. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks.